to Gender Forking, a Twilight Saga podcast. We talk about Twilight, we talk about gender, we talk about Twilight,
yeah.
We talk about
gender.
I'm your host, Lori.
I'm Sam. I'm the other one.
I'm the other one. You're the main character.
I'm the protagonist. You are also the
I'm
protagonist.
the quirky best friend sidekick.
Do you identify with that?
No.
A fun fact about today is
that
my God. Lori and I, for real, started planning her wedding.
We're getting married.
Lori and JJ, not me and Lori.
Don't
no one
break
has
their
to know
hearts.
that.
Find a way to incorporate Twilight into the wedding somehow.
Easily.
Yeah.
The Pinterest board that I've had for years is literally all Twilight stuff. It's like pictures of weddings that kind of remind me of the Twilight wedding, and that it's also Twilight memes. Today we're going to talk about chapters 10 and 11.
It's interrogations and complications.
Yeah, but they're always one word, aren't they? Almost. Not all of them.
Let's see. Let me just
Open book is not.
Gander.
Blood type, scary stories, porn. Never mind. I changed my mind. But a lot of them.
Seek.
It's very simple. Yeah. Mine Never Matter's the longest one. In terms of words that are the title of the chapter. Is this interesting content?
Yeah. Totally. Okay.
So we just left off after a really, really intense first date.
Yep.
The next morning is where we are starting off.
Bella is running a little bit late for school. After having, a very dramatic night, she swallows a granola bar in 3 bites and chases it down with milk straight from the carton. And I just can't get behind that.
I can't. I hate that.
When people drink milk.
Yeah, not even from the carton, just milk.
Period.
Don't drink milk.
Don't drink milk? I don't even like it when people drink alternative milks. Just the concept of people drinking a glass of that stuff. Mm-hmm. You should only be baking and cooking with milk.
We need a Disney princess who doesn't drink
milk.
Do you want to do the Forks cast?
Oh, yeah.
You want me to do it?
Sure.
Usually you do it, so I'll do it.
Okay.
I wonder what the weather is. It's not the same as from the last episode.
Which we recorded 1 hour ago.
What? But it is different. Hey, it's 45 in Forks.
Okay.
I feel like last time it was 48.
Sure.
It's going to start raining at 5 p.m.,
mm-hmm.
which is
an hour later than it was going to start raining last time I checked.
It's a couple hours from now because they're on the other coast. It's going to rain all night and for the next several days. Visibility 10 miles. Not bad. Sunset at 4:39 p.m. It is currently 4:41 p.m. here, and the sun has set.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah, that's not fun.
So it's the day after this incredibly intense experience for Bella, and she is in a rush. Milk. She drinks milk. Lori's not over it. When she gets outside, Edward is already there, and he's like, "Do you want to ride with me today to school, Bella?"
He doesn't say that.
No, he doesn't. He says, "Do you want to ride with me today?" And obviously she's like, "Yep." I thought it was interesting that she said, "He was really giving me a choice. I was free to refuse, and part of him hoped for that. It was a vain hope." What an interesting commentary.
I know, really weird.
Would he not give her a choice?
I don't think either of them would have ever played that out in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
She notes what he's wearing. He's wearing a light gray knit V-neck shirt, and I'm like, let Edward wear colors, you know? Even if it's just, jewel tones. Mm-hmm. Deep colors.
They only wear light colors to distract from the paleness of their skin.
Yeah, you're right, but I hate it. It's wear light blue. Light pink.
Have I ever told you that in the 8th grade, which was the school year after I read Twilight, I totally changed my wardrobe and only wore neutral tones. I got really goth that year.
I love that.
Yeah.
You have never told me that. Hello?
Yeah, because it's fucking embarrassing. One of the very, very first lines in this chapter says, "It was foggy and dark outside my window. Absolutely perfect." And I wrote, "At Lori."
Yeah.
Thank you. But also, this is again, one of the first times where Bella isn't bothered by the weather anymore.
Yeah.
She's enjoying the Forks habitat.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying that Forks cast.
There's this little conversation between Edward and Bella where he's talking about how she edits her true thoughts like, when she's going from thinking to speaking, she, like, edits down her true thoughts to be, like, an edited version.
To be, like, a normal person.
Yeah, to do, like, absolutely what every single one of us does when we think.
Yeah.
That's actually not true. I think some
people just blab.
People just blab.
No filter.
Yeah. I think there's, like, some people that do that, like, as a personality trait, and some people that do that as, like, being neurodivergent.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, most people filter their thoughts. And Edward is, like, accusatorily, like, you edit, and she's like, not very much, and I'm just kind of like,
you don't have access to her every thought.
He's really accustomed to 100% honesty,
yeah,
because of the mind reading, so, like, this is the first time that he doesn't get that from someone.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of understand where that would put you in a weird spot, but it's also like, fucking chill out. And he should know, as someone that has thoughts and edits them down to tell other people things, that that's something that people do, and no one will ever get to the point where they're just 100% of the time thinking, and then sharing that thought with everyone around them.
I wonder if he has a hard time if you just hear you have no secrets, like, or people, like, especially that are around you have no secrets from you. Like, that must totally, like, affect how he views people. How do you how it must be so hard to balance, like, how you treat people. You have to treat people based on what they actually say to you and how they act around you, rather than what they think, unless they're thinking, like, really awful things, I guess. But, like,
it's kind of like, I don't know, I think a lot of
actions speak louder than thoughts, Edward.
Okay. I think a lot of like, interesting, like, fun, hot, like, therapy takes online that I've been reading about lately are, like, people really 2 episodes, 2 OCD mentions. People that have, like, intrusive thoughts, oftentimes, like, will be given the, like, thought, or, like, be given the advice by their, like, therapist that it's not about your intrusive thoughts, it's about how you react to them, and, like, how you, like, your second thought. So, like, the first thought, I've also heard this said in, like, outside of that mental health context, like, the first thought is what society has conditioned you to think.
Right.
And then the second thought is what you actually think. So, like, people sometimes have really awful thoughts. That's not necessarily, like, reflective of who they are.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're not, like, awful, like, bad, like, they're a bad person, they could be, like, I don't know. I just think it would, like, really shape the way that Edward would view people, because I don't know.
Or people also just think fucking weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
People, like, will spend lots of time, like, fixating on, like, one thing, or they'll just, like try to puzzle something out in their brain, or, like literally any number of things. Like, so he could be sitting in class and, like, hear someone's intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Or, like, just, like, listen to some kid think about Star Wars for an hour.
Or, like, think about, like, go down, like, a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Edward hears a lot.
He hears a lot. Like, I wonder what shocks him now.
Yeah. I also kind of wonder, like, how much that impacts who he is.
Yeah.
I feel like it must be hard for him, because people also think a lot of wrong things. Like, not even, like, ethically wrong things, but, like, they think, like, unfactual things. And, like, how does he tune those things out to a point where he doesn't, like, internalize that, like, 2 + 2 is 5 or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, how, like, does he learn things from other people through that way? Like, is that a source of learning for him? Like, can he tap into the rest of the class's thoughts to get answers to questions? Is he able to utilize his power in that way? Like, I wish it was more, explored.
I'm really excited to read Midnight Sun.
Yeah.
Not that will, like, be explored, but, like, as Edward is becoming more of a prominent character in Bella's story, I feel like we talk a lot about Bella, but it will be really cool to, like, talk about all of this from Edward's perspective.
Yeah.
It's weird to think of, like, everyone's thoughts as, like, a realm of consciousness that we don't have access to. Like, if you think about different ways that you can experience the world and different ways of, like, existing or, like, knowing things, you think about, like, the physical world, you think about, like, the world of, like, communications, the things that are said out loud, you think about the virtual world, so, like, the internet is a huge one. But, like, if, like, it's, like, this whole other dimension, really, that he has access to. And I imagine it's, like, the least organized, like, the most chaotic out of all of those things.
Yeah.
They're not meant to exist in harmony.
Just, like, think about, like, how beneficial it would be to have, like, a vampire therapist to help all these people with their powers that have to impact them emotionally.
Yeah.
You know?
But I wonder if it feels natural to them. Like, I wonder if they, if you're a vampire, does your power feel natural to you? I don't know. I think that maybe something like Edward's has a really negative effect on him sometimes.
Yeah. think about Jasper, too.
Yeah, like, that must be super draining.
Yeah.
But other people's, maybe they're just used to it. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that, though, because it seems like even Alice has a hard time with her stuff.
Right.
So, I guess unless you're, like, Carlisle, who's just super compassionate, and Esme, who loves hard, and Rosalie, who's
loves
really beautiful.
Yeah. And who's super strong. Yeah. I would love to be a mind reader a little, but then it's also, like, I would never want mind readers to exist.
Yeah.
And, like, me being able to read minds would make me incredibly anxious that other people could read my mind, you know? Because, like, you're not the only one.
Yeah, and he's not, because, like, Aro has a similar talent.
It's like, does that make him nervous? Does it make him nervous to think about other mind readers being able to read his mind?
So much
he
information.
Knows what it entails.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that he can't read Bella's mind does a lot of things, like, plot-wise, a lot of things for their relationship, and also, like, maybe makes her seem more mysterious to him. Mm-hmm. Not that I think that if he could read her mind, he wouldn't find her fascinating.
Right.
But I wonder, like, if for other people, like, if you just, like, know everything about someone, or, like, you can read all of their thoughts, do they become boring, or do they become more interesting?
I don't know.
I guess, like, there's no definite answer, because probably, like, it depends on who they are, and who you are.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. People
also have, like, people change.
Yeah.
People have new thoughts. So, maybe that would keep it interesting, because it's not like you can just, like, read someone's thoughts for 6 months and, like, know who they are. Because people evolve and grow and change.
Yeah. And there's probably things that, like, over the course of, like, 6 months that, like, someone might never think of.
Yeah.
Or something you might never know about them, especially for Edward, because he's hearing all these things at once. You know, he's not necessarily listening anymore.
Right.
So unless he's, like, keeping tabs on someone, he doesn't really necessarily know anything.
Yeah. I wonder if he had, before the events of Twilight, if he had favorite humans to, like, listen to.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing we get out of that, along the same vein, in Midnight Sun, is Angela. Yeah. He's, like, grateful towards Angela.
He really likes Angela. Yeah. Which I think kind of does betray that he does judge people based on their thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I could talk about that for so long.
Yeah.
Anyway. Already in the last couple chapters, and in this chapter, and especially in the next chapter, Bella is starting to think about touching Edward, like, a lot.
Yeah. These are some horny chapters.
Some big horny chapters. She, on page 199, says, I wanted to close that little distance to reach out and touch him, but I was afraid he wouldn't like me to. Mm-hmm. So there's this sort of, like, there's a boundary there that they have not crossed. Like, they don't even hold hands at this point. Yeah. Which is weird, because remember in Life and Death, when they're holding hands in the car? Hands. Yeah. Which is fucking normal. Like, they can totally be holding hands right now. Yeah. There's no reason why they can't. I was thinking
about, like,
give each other a goddamn hug.
I'm gonna talk about this later, bring it up a couple more times, but his family must be I don't know, okay. His family must have been so pissed in the morning when he woke up and was like, gonna go take Bella to school.
Peace out. Yeah. Except for Alice.
Except for Alice, yeah.
Excited.
And probably Emmett. And then I'm thinking, like, how much... We understand, we've gotten some, like, parameters on how his mind reading works and how he can hear people up to a few miles away. What does the hearing range of a vampire look like?
How far away they can hear?
Because I was thinking about...
Not just the thoughts.
Yeah, this chapter, they do a lot of talking in the cafeteria, and I was wondering if, like, Edward's family, like, the rest of the Cullen Hale siblings, are able to...
Oh, they definitely can.
Listen to that conversation, right?
They totally can.
Yeah.
I definitely think that they can. I mean, yeah, I get the sense that it's pretty fucking far, how far away they can hear.
Yeah, and are they able to, like, zoom in on one voice? Because, like, a cafeteria... I was thinking about that, because, like, I don't know if it's, like, kind of like hearing aids, where, like, hearing aids amplify all the noises, maybe not the ones that are the most helpful.
Yeah. I mean, you can, like, our ears, we can zoom in on something. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things going on.
But is that, like, physical, or is that, like, a mental thing?
I don't know. Maybe both.
You know?
I think probably both.
And do they have both? Like, do they... I don't know.
I don't know how ears work.
I don't either.
I don't even know how human ears work.
I don't either.
Cool.
Anyway.
I think that they can hear, though.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not... It's just, like, one room. So.
Yeah.
I don't know how far away they are, though. So, this is a really interesting bit of the story where Jessica is meeting Bella to give her jacket back.
Yeah.
And Edward lets Bella know that Jessica is about to interrogate her about their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella is very flustered about that. And Edward agrees to tell her what she wants to know because he's reading her mind. And the two things that she wants to know are if they're secretly dating and how Bella feels about Edward. And Bella says, "Yikes, what should I say?" Her reaction is just, "Yikes."
Yikes.
Mood.
Yeah, this is also different in Life and Death, because in Life and Death, it's...
that pissed me off so much.
Yeah, it's what's his fucking name?
Jeremy
wanting to know what base they got to.
Yeah, I hate that so much.
Yeah. And it's like, this is a really fun way for Stephanie to bring in this defining the relationship
moment,
which is like, I don't know, historically maybe not the easiest conversation for couples to have. I don't know, let us know.
So Bella and Edward kind of like DTR in this moment because she's like, "What should I say?" And he's like, "You should say that we're dating." This is really interesting, actually. He says, "I suppose you could say yes to the first, if you don't mind. It's easier than any other explanation." I'm like, what is the other explanation?
The other explanation, I don't know what that means, because it's like...
What else are you?
What else are you?
You're just like
you're
human
not
vampire
soulmates.
friend.
You're not, like... You haven't had the discussion about where your feelings are at yet.
Yeah.
Other than you both feel really strongly. But it's like, you're not at the point where...
Right. It's not more than that.
You're not kissing. You're not holding hands.
Yeah.
You're not, like, doing anything.
They went on, like, one date that wasn't even really a date.
So, like, that is the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they're dating now?
Yeah. And then Mike is asking Bella questions about Port Angeles. He had, like, an odd, almost resigned look on his face. And it's like, he must have heard about the night before from Jessica.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, he has later.
So she gets into trig, I think, with Jessica. I don't even know what trigonometry is.
It's the study of... It's like all that...
Is it like... Is it geometry, but more?
It's like the connection... Let me just actually pull this up so I don't, like,
I don't even know if I took trig.
Yeah, it's a relationship between... Like, it's triangles.
Okay,
it's literally triangles.
I thought it was triangles.
It's like all the sine, cosine, sine. It's like
That's
all
right.
the side relationship, side to angle.
I have studied that.
It's kind of like preparing you for the jump from geometry and algebra to calculus, because the triangle is really fundamental to the development of calculus and taking the areas of, like, things under the curve of, like, a function and like deriving. Yeah.
So Bella meets up with Jess in trigonometry, and Jessica wants to know all these details, and Bella knows that Edward is listening. It's very funny. Again, another comedy scene that I want to see in the Netflix series. Please hire us.
They have this little interaction where Jessica's trying to figure out what they are too.
Yeah.
And Jessica's like, "Has he kissed you?" And Bella's like, "No, it's not like that." Like, and it's like, in all levels, except physical, it is like that. But it is like that, you know? It's like, no, they're not physically kissing.
Yeah.
But that's it. And there's a reason that Bella knows.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It seems from this conversation that Bella thinks that she's more into Edward than he's into her, which is
and she says
stupid.
That to Jessica.
There's this kind of funny little moment on page 204 where Jessica's like, "Oh, well, he is unbelievably gorgeous." Jessica shrugged as if this excused any flaws, which in her book, it probably did. "There's a lot more to him than that." "Really? Like what?" says Jessica. And I'm like, what an interesting interaction for
so weird
Stephanie Meyer to write.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Jessica's deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, she doesn't know anything about him personality-wise, except for that he's a little, like, bit of a loner, so I think, like... Yeah.
I feel like this was probably nice for Edward to listen to. Though, Bella, like, explaining why... Or, I guess she doesn't say it out loud, actually.
Yeah.
She doesn't explain it out loud. But she does say that he's more unbelievable behind the face. Aw. That's nice.
And then, at the end of the period, she tries to distract Jessica from asking any more questions by talking about how Mike was asking about, like, Jessica's perception of their date, which totally works. And then Bella's, like, super, super excited about going to lunch to see Edward. And I think, again, like, this really captures what it's like to be a teenager with a crush.
Mhm.
Like, a high schooler with a crush.
Mhm.
Which you claim to have never felt, so I don't know why you're nodding.
All right. Anyway, she gets to the cafeteria and Edward's waiting for her to get food. They're gonna like go sit by themselves and have a really intense cafeteria lunch date.
Okay, and this is the thing. He buys her food,
Yeah.
and it's like, I just feel like, okay, this is like a weird flex to me because it's like, I've never heard of someone buying school lunch for someone else as like an act of chivalry or like romance. Like, school lunch, like, you're children. Like, I feel like it really just put me in perspective of like, you're a child.
You're a child. Yeah.
Like, the only reason why someone would buy someone else school lunch is like, I don't know, financial hardship, or you don't want to fucking get up and wait in line. You know what I mean? I mean,
he is really rich. He has way more money than a child.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, she can probably just buy her lunch like she does every day. And she could probably pick it out for herself.
Yeah. It's just weird. I don't know. It just, like, it was, like, a moment of contrast because they're about to have this incredibly serious and, like,
just really intense,
wild conversation
in the cafeteria lunchroom.
In this lunchroom, and they're children, and they're surrounded by children, and they're surrounded by, not to patronize 17-year-olds because children are and can be very bright, but children can also be, 17-year-olds can be incredibly dumb. Like, people are probably mixing, like, hot sauce and, like, marinara sauce into their chocolate milk around them, and they're having this conversation, you know? People are making towers of the wrapping from their school lunch in the middle of their table, and they're having this conversation. Like, that's so interesting.
Perfect camouflage, honestly.
And I think in a comedy version of Twilight, that could have been played up more, because this cafeteria scene, like, the cafeteria scenes in the movie, like, the most wild things that happen are, like Tyler pulling the chair out from behind Mike and chasing each other for, like, half a second, but it's, like, there would be some, like, incredibly gross things going on in this cafeteria. Yeah. Because it's a high school cafeteria. Yeah.
Also, I mean, there is one funny moment here where Bella dares him to eat human food. Yeah. And he does.
Yeah.
He eats pizza.
And we, like, find out that he has to, like, cough it up.
In Midnight Sun, I think.
In Midnight Sun.
Which is really funny. Edward gagging.
Yeah.
Relatable.
So they start to have this conversation.
But, wait.
Okay.
He eats this pizza. And then later on the page, she says that she bites the pizza. Is his venom not on the pizza? He touched it with his teeth.
Maybe he has, like, extremely strong lips, so he just clamped his lips down on the pizza, and they just ripped the pizza, so that he didn't get venom on the pizza. I don't know how that works. Yeah.
Funny, though. I don't know. They're so funny. I love them.
This conversation, he's really bothered by this comment that Bella made about her liking him more than he likes her.
First of all, it's not a competition.
Yeah, it's not a competition. Second of all, okay, chill. Third of all, she says this thing, I'm not surprised you heard something you didn't like. You know what they say about eavesdroppers. What do they say about eavesdroppers?
That they hear things that they, like, that will upset them.
Is it like a saying?
I don't know. I think so. I think it's just that, like, if you like, are nosy, you're gonna find something out that you wish that you hadn't heard.
That's not very catchy.
No, that's definitely not the phrase. The phrase that if you're an eavesdropper.
I keep thinking, when I read that, the phrase, like, cheaters never prosper came into my head.
Kind of like snitches get stitches, but reverse.
Stitches get snitches.
No.
Not snitches get not stitches.
Listeners get blisters.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm a huge eavesdropper, so do with that information. At work.
But people are never talking about you.
No.
You know?
I'm never really eavesdropping to listen about things about me.
Right.
I'm always, like, trying to find out more information about others.
Yeah.
Because I'm, caring.
On 208, she kind of narrates what you were just talking about. She says, we were inclined toward each other across the table now. He had his large white hands folded under his chin. I leaned forward, my right hand cupped around my neck. I had to remind myself that we were in a crowded lunchroom, with probably many curious eyes on us. It was too easy to get wrapped up in our own private, tense little bubble.
This is where Bella and I are different, because I, in high school, was hyper aware of people looking at me. And I thought she would be too,
Maybe not with Edward, though.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Bella keeps narrating that when she's with Edward, like, everything else blurs away. Yeah.
So weird. I don't feel that way about like anyone. No offense.
The most... no offense to us right now.
Yeah.
You mean the world isn't blurring away as we talk about Twilight?
No, I keep thinking about if Alex is home.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There's this conversation about how she's like, oh, you're dazzling me again. And that's when I wrote down, like, is his entire family able to hear this conversation?
Yeah.
Because if they are, Emmett's fucking laughing so hard.
Yeah. But then again, like, they're used to, like, having no privacy.
Yeah.
Like, when Rosalie and Emmett want privacy, they have to go away for a year.
Yeah,
they literally do.
Yeah. So I guess they are used to it, but this is kind of, I don't know, this is kind of Edward's first experience of not having privacy, because he's not doing anything that he wants privacy for.
Yeah.
Because he's not masturbating. He's not masturbating. They don't poop. No. So it's like, what do you need privacy for, really? Crying. Yeah. But they can't do that either.
They can cry without tears.
Just go.
They dry sob. they go. When you can't cry, you invent other ways of crying. It comes out of you in other ways.
Aww. I can't believe they don't have venom tears.
I know.
They should.
I know. I think it's very, first of all, very anxious attachment of them to think that they care more than the other. Yeah. Not even that they care more, but that the other cares less.
Yeah. I think it's, like, weird because I feel like that is kind of a trope.
It is such a trope.
Where people are like, expected. I love you more. I know, I love you more. No, I love you more.
Yeah. You should love your partner equally, and you should be willing to accept that it's equal.
And if you don't love each other equally, then you should think about what the ramifications
for you and them
are for your relationship, and, like, if you're okay continuing that relationship in that state.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so wait, she is in love with him.
Yeah.
She's said that to herself. Okay.
Yes.
Because this conversation gets very intense. Actually, like, right now, page 210 to 211. Yeah. First of all, on 210, she's like, it's obvious that you wouldn't be as into me. She says, well, look at me. I'm absolutely ordinary. And this is problematic. She says, except for bad things like the near-death experiences and being so clumsy that I'm almost disabled.
Huge.
Oh my god. There's so many disability references that are awful. And then Edward's like, you don't know what all the men in this school, all the boys in the school were thinking on your first day here.
Not all the boys in this school.
All the males.
Every human male. Sorry, which kind of, I think, is where Stephanie has made that mention about the biology teacher, Mr. Banner having a crush on Bella, which I hate. It's so creepy. It's like, also, like, just compliment her yourself. Yeah. You know, like, don't... True. Like, she's expressed that she's uncomfortable with the attention that she receives from Mike, Eric, and Tyler, and everyone, and it's just, like, don't keep bringing that up. It's like, are you bringing that up to be, like, anxious about how many prospects she has? Because, I don't know. It's weird. I hate it. I'm just not a very, like, I'm not a jealous person, and I haven't really dated jealous people, and so when people say things like that, I'm like, why would you ever? Yeah. Like, if it's not, like, I don't know.
That has something to do with them. Like, it shouldn't matter what other people think. It should be about what he thinks about her.
Yeah. It's, like, also as if, like, Edward is in any way similar to any of them. So, like...
I'm really curious as to when will be the first time that Edward, like, makes a comment on her physical appearance. Yeah. I mean, he's been like, oh, that looks good. That color looks good. Yeah. But, like... When does he ever tell her, like, you're beautiful or you're pretty or, like, I like your face? Yeah. Sort of thing. I don't know. Yeah. 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 Bella writes.
Bella writes.
I wrote the lyrics to the One Direction song, You Don't Know You're Beautiful, on that
page. He then goes on to say, if leaving is the right thing to do, then I'll hurt myself to keep from hurting you. To
shakes me to my core. Why are they talking about this?
Yeah, it's like this...
They're like, oh no, I like you more because, like, I'm willing to, like, protect you and, like, leave and, like, whatever. And
I'm willing to be miserable so that you're not hurt. It's like, that's huge new moon energy.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, there's no reason for them to be thinking about that right now.
No.
Because, like, there's no threat.
No. Oh, the only danger is, like, him being a vampire.
Yeah.
Which I think they've established that they're going to continue seeing each other despite that.
Mm-hmm. And she also starts to mention, if I had to, I suppose I could purposefully put myself in danger to keep him close.
Yeah.
That's also huge new moon energy. That's literally what happens.
Huge foreshadowing.
It's huge. And I'm like, did you do that on purpose?
I don't know.
But, damn.
She's like, you don't think I would do the same? And he said, you never have to make the choice. I'm like, it has been 1 second. Like, you have been seeing, you just this morning DTR'd.
Yep.
You really just met, and, like, you don't even, like, this is all hypothetical. I, like, don't know where it's really coming from, truly.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, they can talk about this. They can talk about, like, the danger and, like, the kind of the boundaries of, like, under what circumstances would we not be together or, like, whatever. But that's not really what they're doing. They're just making it a competition instead of, like, speaking positively, like, doing, like, affirmations for one another about why they want to be with the other. That's interesting.
They talk about how they're not actually going to go to Seattle. Like, Edward has another idea. He also tries to convince her to tell Charlie that they're going to spend the day together, not in a, like, romantic way, like, I want your dad to know we're dating, but in, like, a safety way, like, I need an incentive to bring you home is how he...
Which is interesting.
Phrases it. And I think he's trying to, again, overstate the danger that he poses.
Why does he need an incentive? Doesn't he want to bring her home safe? Like, that's his incentive. Like, his incentive is the same.
I wrote next to it, ironically, wow, sexy with 3 eyes. It's like he's trying to make it sound more sexy and dangerous than it is. Yeah.
A day trip to Seattle is so long from Forks. It's 4 hours each way. I mean, it would be faster with him driving, which is why it's a stupid idea of Bella to drive, because it would take them even longer than 4 hours. It would probably take them, like, 6 hours. So I don't think that's realistic at all.
No.
Edward would have to drive.
Yeah. Also, like, I wish they had gone to Seattle, because that would have been fun to get another city, but I understand why they didn't.
I want, like, the bonus content of that, though.
Yeah.
So bad. On page 214, it's very exciting. Bella and Alice make eye contact.
Yeah. It's really sweet.
They'll be friends. They, like, literally won't talk for so long, though.
Yeah, it's so sad because it's like, it would have been cool if they had started the relationship building of Bella and the other Collins a little bit earlier in this book.
Yeah.
I understand she's still getting to know and getting used to Edward, but I'm like, I just love the other one so much.
Yeah, I know. They have a really funny conversation about hunting.
Emmett's preference for bears.
Yeah, and his preference for mountain lion. And she's like, trying to play it really cool. She's like, I know, this is normal.
Yeah. Yep. She's like, just don't react, Bella. Just don't react.
Yeah.
And he also talks about how he has to be careful to not impact the environment with injudicious hunting.
It's so
funny.
I'm
like, wow, the wasting of finite resources is everyone's business.
You're right. He says, there's always plenty of deer and elk here, and they'll do, but where's the fun in that? And she says, where indeed.
Again, I think it would be hilarious if Emmett could hear this, because Edward makes this really funny comment about them.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen a bear attack on television, you should be able to visualize Emmett hunting. And I feel like if I were Emmett in this moment, I would thump my chest like fucking Tarzan and be like, wah.
I feel like if I were in charge of directing the scene, I would put Bella with her back to the other Collins,
so that the
Collins all watching over her shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. He freaks out about hunting because Bella's like, could I get to see that sometime? And he's like, absolutely not.
He's got a temper.
He does, and this comes up in the next chapter as well, and might as well just talk about it now.
Yeah.
She makes this comment in the next chapter about, it's on page 230, and she's like talking about, she says, I'd given more information than necessary in my unwilling honesty, and I worried it would provoke the strange anger that flared whenever I slipped and revealed too clearly how obsessed I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like that she lives in anticipation of his anger, and she's not necessarily afraid of him. She's explicitly not afraid of him. But she doesn't want to make him mad, and it's like, you're living in such...
She's walking on eggshells around him a little bit.
She's walking on eggshells a little bit, and they're in such a unique situation that requires such open, direct, like, communication for them to, like, literally survive, that the fact that she's, like, in fear of him, like, over, like, freaking out about something that she would say is just, like, really detrimental, I feel, to the, like, development of their relationship. But
I think that there are moments, I think, where they communicate really well, and there are moments, I think, where clear boundaries are set, and then, but then there's, like, it's just, I mean, and this happens, I think, in all relationships of all kinds, where, like, especially when a relationship begins, or shifts
Mm-hmm.
where you have to navigate new boundaries like all the time, and they're like constantly coming up because every time there's a boundary, it's a new one,
Mm-hmm.
or you could like cross one without knowing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of in the midst of that. But I don't love that Edward just has this temper that he's very aware of and still can't really get in check.
Yeah. Also, like, he's
I mean,
supposed
he can,
to
but,
care
like,
for her, and, like, I don't love that.
His response is anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like definitely a way to communicate about these things, even if they make him angry, without like snapping. And I recognize that like that takes practice and whatever. But I don't know if he ever. I don't like know if he ever gets there.
Yeah.
Like for like a long time.
We'll find out one day.
That's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, leads us into the next chapter, but we should take a break for our mini segment, Love at First Bite. Sam has prepared me
It's my
a
turn.
Tinder bio.
Yes. Okay. So, 18, 2 miles away, and a female.
Okay.
The photos are a prom photo, a photo with some friends, and a photo of a cat.
Okay.
The bio is sister and friend. The best things in life are free. Let's have a tea and a chat. And the song is, I think it's Bubbly by Colby Calais. Is that what it's called? Do you know that
Starts
song?
in my toes.
Yeah.
And,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
Bubbly?
Bubbly.
Is that Bubbly?
I'm trying to figure out who it is. Sister and
Sister
friend.
and friend.
They have a cat picture?
I just feel like this person has a cat.
Is it Angela?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was thrown off
Yeah.
by sister.
She has younger twin brothers, right?
I don't know.
I think she does.
Wow. I didn't know that. It made me think it was one of the Cullens because of sister. Absolutely swipe right.
Yeah.
I love Angela.
I love Angela.
I love the headcanon that Angela is a witch.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I think that would make the books so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could have been given some time and thought rather than like the love triangle shit.
Yeah.
It would have been even more fun to have like a vampire, a werewolf, and a witch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a love square. That'd be fun. Shall we move ourselves into chapter 11, Complications?
This is the horniest chapter yet.
It's like the horniest thing Stephanie's written until she gets to like the leg hitch.
Yeah.
Like she really like does bring it up another level, but this is incredibly horny.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that it maybe gets hornier when they actually kiss.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much tension.
See,
and it's
I
written
feel like
about
it gets
so funny.
less horny when they kiss.
Yeah, you actually might be right. Sometimes the anticipation is like
It's very
more than the
Mormon
thing.
of her to be like,
Yeah.
there's all this anticipation, we can't touch each other.
Yeah.
This forbidden, like, physical contact between them.
But, like, joke's on her because, like, that's what every great romance novel of all time, like, does, for the most part, I think.
Which, like, I'm sure she knows.
The abstinence, I wrote on one of these pages, chastity is work. It is labor.
Oh my god.
Chastity is labor. Discuss.
Sure.
Okay. You were raised Catholic.
Yeah, I was abstinent until I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
as most people are.
Mm-hmm.
I used to wear a purity ring.
Mm-hmm.
Probably around the same time I was actually reading Twilight.
Mm.
It was kind of performative. It actually was super performative. It was like I really wanted to fit in with people at church.
Mm-hmm.
Chastity is work. Chastity, like, is a performance that you put on for other people because most people really don't care if you're having sex or not.
Mm-hmm. And if they
And
do,
if
there's
they
something wrong with them.
there's something wrong, and maybe it's not something wrong with them individually, but it's something wrong with the way that they've been taught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Catholics have more sex than anyone in the world. That's not a fact that I know, but it is something that I feel strongly about.
Okay. Yeah.
They also don't use birth control.
Yeah.
That's also not a fact, but they're told not to.
Right. Traditionally,
Though the
Mhm.
Catholic Church used to hold stock in Trojan because it was financially, like, beneficial to them.
Oh.
Do you know that?
But I did not know that. That is batshit. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Mm-hmm. They're like, don't use it, but...
Do Mormons use birth control?
I imagine it's this... No.
Traditionally?
I think traditionally it's the same
Yeah.
as, like, the Catholic Church is like, don't do it.
They certainly don't in this book.
Mm.
In this saga.
We wish they did, though.
Yeah. So this chapter, it's just, again, very intense for a high school setting. Like, literally in high school, in a school. Belle and Edward go to biology class, and it's a movie day, and Bella describes this very electric feeling of when, like, the lights go off,
Mm-hmm.
and the movie's on, and it's dark, and she's sitting next to Edward, and she has, like, this, like, like almost uncontrollable but not uncontrollable urge to like touch him or something like that. She doesn't really name this desire beyond wanting to like kind of reach out and like touch his skin, which is very innocent.
She doesn't. And I'm also like thinking like, I know this is probably like a boring biology video, but what if it was Bill Nye the Science Guy?
What if it was about like reproduction and like sex cells?
Wow, what if AU, where Bella and Edward have to go through sex ed together in
Oh
high
my
school?
god!
Someone write it!
Oh my god! You know what? Edward would not cope very well, and Bella would love it.
Do you think he would get exempted? Or try to?
He might try, and then I bet Bella would talk to Carlisle and have him refuse to be exempted.
Oh my god. It's like Carlisle would be the type of dad to not allow his children to be exempted from sex ed because he knows it's important.
This is what I would write into the Netflix series of Twilight, is like a whole episode where Edward is trying to avoid this class and it's not even fucking sunny on that day, so he has to go.
And he can't look sick because he's fine all the time.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that so much. Oh my god.
That's what we deserved. Anyway.
Also, I was thinking, like, this is a fun concept, but what if, other concept, Edward and Bella just go to a normal biology lab as people who are dating?
Yeah.
And have to have class together.
Hey, you're a couple in your biology class.
Yeah. So she's, like, unable to relax for the entire period.
And he is as well.
So, yeah, it's pretty clear that they're experiencing the same thing.
And they both know they're experiencing the same thing. Yeah. Because at the end, Edward's like, well, that was interesting. Yeah. And he's kind of laughing. And his voice is dark. She
says, I was losing my mind. Yeah. And I feel like, just don't slut-shame yourself. Like,
I know!
It's okay to want that. I mean, it's
okay to
not in this situation. But
non-sexually touch your boyfriend.
Yeah. She describes it as the overpowering craving to touch him.
Stephanie.
Work through this. We gotta work through this. And I'm like, kind of wondering like what the larger purpose of this is, if not to just solely be horny. Like, there's no plot purpose of this. Yeah. It's just like describing their relationship, really, which is fine. But and then like something really dramatic happens. Let me just read this. This is way too much for me. They leave class. He walked me to my next class in silence and paused at the door. I turned to say goodbye. His face startled me. His expression was torn, almost pained, and so fiercely beautiful that the ache to touch him flared as strong as before. My goodbye stuck in my throat. He raised his hand, hesitant, conflict raging in his eyes, then swiftly brushed... Lori's doing it right now. Swiftly brushed the length of my cheekbone with his fingertips. His skin was icy as ever, but the trail his fingers left on my skin was alarmingly warm, like I'd been burned, but I didn't feel the pain of it yet. He turned without a word and strode away quickly from me. What the fuck? Like,
it's so weird.
Like, that's very dramatic for me. Like, I can't write that off as, like, anything else. It's, like, very dramatic and unnecessary.
And she, like, describes being lightheaded and wobbly in a trance-like state, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then as she's going to gym, and then she has, like, a really fun conversation with Mike.
Oh, also, it's, like, hilarious because she has to play, like, fucking racquetball or something. Badminton, and she's really bad at it, and she's, like, in a daze. Like, come on, this is a comedy.
She does make this really sweet comment about Mike that he offers to be on her team, and she's like, thanks, Mike, you don't have to do this, you know. He's like, don't worry, I'll keep out of your way. And she's like, sometimes it was so easy to like Mike.
And then he ruins it one second later.
Well, I think it's fair.
Well, he ruins it for her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, from her perspective. Yeah. He's like, you and Cullen, huh? And she says, that's none of your business, Mike. And then she says, I warned, internally cursing Jessica straight to the fiery pits of Hades. Yeah. Did she not say hell?
I know. Maybe she can't. Maybe that's like a Mormon thing. I don't know. Mormons? Let us know.
All the Mormons who are listening. Yeah. Wait, so what are your thoughts on this conversation?
I love it. I love it. I think it's fair. Like, it's a small town. I think that later in this chapter, I also said something like, it's a small town. Like, Bella needs to be confronted with the reality that everyone's going to know her business, and she needs to be careful if she doesn't want people to know her business. And it's not just Jessica. Like, yes, in this circumstance, it is Jessica, but it's not always going to be Jessica. Yeah. Like, the gossip about them is going to circulate, and she just needs to be, like, fucking prepared for that.
It shouldn't be like that, but it is. But I think that he... How much gossip is healthy in a small town? He says... Well, the part that gets me is that he says he doesn't like it, and I'm like, why are you voicing your opinion? Like, I feel like it's weird of him.
Yeah.
As, like, this, like, boy who was just asking out Bella
Yeah.
to be like, I don't like that you're... It's like, that really isn't his business because, like, he's dating someone else and, like, it could be someone else's business.
It isn't his business. But he is the only friend that really expresses concern about this other than, like, Billy Black and kind of Jacob eventually.
Yeah.
He's the only friend that really does critically look at their relationship because... At this point, because Jessica's just like, oh my god, you're dating Edward Cullen, and like Angela's minding her business. Maybe it is healthy to have a friend who's invested enough to be like,
that's true.
I don't think this is the best for you.
I don't think that he's in it for the right reasons.
No.
But it would be cool if someone else to give that that constructive criticism. Yeah.
Especially in a situation where Charlie doesn't know this is going on yet.
Yeah.
Which, as I'll talk about later, I think is very unrealistic.
Mike's reasoning is he looks at you like you're something to eat, which is really fucking funny, and I think that's the only reason they have this conversation.
To set up that line.
There's this very interesting bit in the bottom of 221 where we're getting ready to go see Edward again, and says, I dressed quickly, something stronger than butterflies, battering recklessly against the walls of my stomach. And then she has like this rapid fire procession of thoughts, which is, I was wondering if Edward would be waiting or if I should meet him at his car. What if his family was there? I felt a wave of real terror. Did they know that I knew? Was I supposed to know that they knew that I knew or not? I feel like there's a lot of anxiety there.
There is, but I also feel if I were in this situation, I would have been having those questions in my head all day.
Oh, yeah.
You know? The fact that it doesn't occur to her until the very moment where she's about to confront these people or, like, potentially confront these people is surprising to me. Because I would have been thinking about it the night before, like, okay, who knows?
Yeah,
like,
and he should have told her that by now, probably.
Yeah.
But as soon as she sees him, she feels, like, relieved.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, nice also, but, like, how deep does that go?
Right.
I don't know. And I can't really say at this point.
They have this exchange of information about how he was watching Mike Newton's thoughts to view her in gym class, essentially, to, like, get a picture of, like, what's going on. And she's really, really embarrassed, and he's kind of teasing her a little bit. And I was thinking, like, they really both should and could set some boundaries about this and whether it's appropriate for him to be doing that.
Yeah, they really need to talk about that.
And it's like, maybe this isn't their top priority as, like, a couple who's grappling with so many other, like, extreme circumstances, like, literally, like, again, life and death things. But she tries to set a boundary later and is like, I'll forgive you if you mean it and if you promise not to do it again.
I feel like that was really interesting.
And he dodges that and is like, what if I mean it and you can drive Saturday? And I just feel like he should have just respected that boundary.
Yeah. To a certain extent, he can't help it.
Yeah.
But he could try a little harder.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be, like, tuning in like it's TV.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he could try to respect her privacy by thinking about other things. I don't know.
Especially because he's invading her privacy in other ways, like, that she doesn't even know about yet, like watching her sleep.
There seems to be this theme of Edward not being able to control himself, and he knows that, and he's, like, not really trying.
Yeah.
Which is weird. He's, like, giving into a lot of his impulses, not all of them.
Yeah, the impulse to drink her blood is the one that he's really focusing on right now, so maybe it is hard for him to not give in to the other impulses.
But, like, where do those come from? Yeah. Because those are not vampire... Well, some of them are vampire things.
They're
like,
not explained as vampire things inherently. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, obviously mind reading.
Is he, like, an obsessive partner?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think every person tempted with the ability to know everything that he does would be going that hard.
Yeah. No,
like, I think that's unique to him as a person.
I agree. She is mad at him for listening in and, like, watching her in gym class because she's, like, embarrassed. I remember reading Life and Death, and this was not in there. It was played off way more lightheartedly, and they did not have this, like, argument, really, that last 2 pages. But I thought that was interesting that was taken out of Life and Death. Because what this does is, like, give them a much more of, like, a roller coaster vibe. Yeah. It's, like, hot and cold, like, something's wrong, like, everything's fine, or, like, I'm mad at you, or, like, we're deeply in love. Like, that's kind of, like, it's starting to, like, kind of go all over the place. Yeah. I feel, again, like, he's got a temper. Yeah. 224. She's asking him again about what they were talking about last chapter, about the hunting, and why she can't be there. He does apologize for scaring her. But he kind of smiles and is like, I don't know. It's just kind of, like, low-key not great. He seems pleased
that he scared her a little bit, because it seems like to me that's what he's been, like, really going for. Like, he's trying to scare her off because he thinks it's best for her, but it's just also, like, I don't like that he's happy to have scared her.
Yeah.
I think that shouldn't be something that you're happy about.
You shouldn't have to, like, he's trying to scare her so that she takes it seriously, but, like, there are other ways of getting to that point.
Yeah.
And, like, it is on her to, like, also try to get to that point, too.
Mm-hmm.
But
this next little piece talking about hunting, there's this, like, little phrase, or this little, like, passage that he's talking about, and he says, when we hunt, he spoke slowly, unwillingly, we give ourselves over to our senses, govern less with our minds, especially our sense of smell. If you were anywhere near me when I lost control that way, he shook his head, gazing morosely at the heavy clouds. Hunting and sex are talked about so similarly in this saga.
Yes.
And we don't know that yet, as people that haven't yet read Eclipse and Breaking Dawn, but...
Or even, like, they haven't even kissed.
They haven't even kissed.
We kind of get more of it then.
But when he eventually does start talking about sex and how he can't let himself go around her because... He can't let him, like, rely on his senses around her because he will be... like, uncontrollable or whatever. Like, it's so reminiscent of the way he talks about hunting. I'm like, what does that say about...
It's so problematic because there's a conflation here of either animalism or, like, monstrosity with sex, which is, like, also a human thing.
Yeah.
So, like, to say that sex is, like, an animalistic or monstrous thing is, like, deeply problematic.
And that it wouldn't be for her.
Yeah.
It would only be for him.
Right. Which we kind of get when they do kiss, that, like, she feels a little out of control.
Yeah.
And is, like, surprised. And I don't think that there's, like, a hard line between... I don't want to say that that there isn't something kind of, like, natural or primal or instinctual about sexuality, because there definitely is. Like, there's not, like, a clear boundary there all the time, but you have to set those boundaries when you're in relationships, and you have to be able to control yourself. Just,
I haven't read Breaking Dawn in a very long time, but thinking about the way that they talk about sex makes me so uncomfortable now. Yeah. Thinking about, like, he's like, well, I just won't be able to help it. Like, I won't be able to do anything. I'll lose complete control. It's like, I would never sleep with a person like that.
You should be able to relax and, like, let go when you have sex, but not in a way that compromises the other person's safety or pleasure or consent. Yeah. Like, those are not, like, those things don't exclude each other. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. Like,
maybe it's not as, like, imperative to Edward and Bella because, like, the way that Stephanie's probably writing this is they're having, like, missionary sex for 3 minutes and then they're not anymore. But, like, in a in a
less heteronormative,
less awful sexual experience, like, you need to be able to be, like with it enough to be able to negotiate body language and, like, like,
it's a sharing experience,
emotions and, like, how they're reacting to your actions and things like that. It's like, you're, like, by definition not able to do that. You probably shouldn't be having sex. And he kind of thinks that, like, he thinks that, but then
he's right.
They do it anyway, and look what happens after that.
And we get,
abstinence is labor and necessary. Hot take of the year. In 2020, we are abstinent.
It's so strange. Because, like, in a way, like, they do have, like, this consequence of their actions, which is the baby, but, like, Bella is, like, supposedly okay with that. But also, like, they have sex and, like, it's fine. I mean, she has, like, some bruises, but Bella is okay with that. And I guess that's, like, he breaks the bed, but, like, whatever, I guess. Like,
it's, like...
I don't know. We can unpack
it later. We're getting ahead of
like,
ourselves, but it's like humans bruise each other during sex sometimes, and people are okay with that. If that's something that they've talked about beforehand, which they haven't to the degree where Bella was like, I don't care if you bruise me. Yeah. But, and Edward's horrified about it, but, like, that's a normal thing that could happen in a human relationship, and, like, I just don't think Stephenie Meyer knows that. Yeah. Does she?
She probably doesn't.
She might now.
She probably does now. She probably knows way more than she wants to know about human sexuality now. She probably read 50 Shades of Grey. So there's a moment on page 225 right after that conversation where it's kind of intense and they don't say anything, and she starts to feel that feeling of electricity that she had felt earlier, meaning that, like, she's
horny,
wants to kiss him, and then he's like, I think you should go inside now.
Yeah.
He's dealing with so much. He's dealing with this whole other level. He doesn't know how to be close to her at this point.
I wonder how able he is to separate, like, draw a distinction between his thirst desire and his sexual desire. Because, like, he's got to be feeling it.
Yeah.
Let's not be unrealistic here.
Yeah.
But I wonder how tied up that is for him.
Does he know?
I don't know.
He's like, he doesn't know what... He's never, like, really experienced this before.
No.
And he's never had sex.
No.
He's maybe never kissed anyone. He's probably, like... He, like, hasn't ejaculated in a long time.
Long time.
So...
I don't know if he's able to parse out that he's having sexual feelings at all.
Which is such a red flag. Oh my god, I hate that. I hate that for him and for Bella.
I have so many thoughts.
I feel like another person could write this story and Bella would be, like, write it, especially today. And Bella would be naming her desire a lot more.
Yeah.
If you rewrote this story today and Stephenie Meyer did not rewrite it, because she did obviously rewrite it, there would be much more explicit conversations about sex. But to be fair, in Life and Death, they do have a more explicit conversation about sex. That is, I mean, there's, like, a very vague one in here. Edith calls it vampire sex ed, which I thought was lovely.
Truly lovely.
Yeah.
So she wakes up the next morning. She has a dream about Edward, which I don't know.
It is honestly a sex dream.
You're right, and you should say it.
That night, Edward started my dreams as usual. However, the climate of my unconsciousness had changed. It thrilled with the same electricity that had charged the afternoon, and I tossed and turned restlessly, waking often. Come on.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. She has a conversation with Charlie. There's this passage here. She says, I sympathized with him, Charlie. It must be a hard thing to be a father, living in fear that your daughter would meet a boy she liked, but also having to worry if she didn't. How ghastly it would be, I thought, shuddering, if Charlie had even the slightest inkling of what exactly I did like. There's a lot there.
2 thoughts.
Okay.
I hate dads.
Okay.
I like Charlie. I hate dads on principle.
Sure.
She says if he had even the slightest inkling of exactly what I did like. Not who.
But what?
But what. And it's like,
is this a fetish?
Is this a fetish? Like, is she, like, she's saying, like, oh, instead of boys, I like vampires.
Yeah.
Which is, like, that could be gay. That could be gay.
Mm-hmm. It seems like out of context.
Is Bella queer for liking vampires?
Yeah.
That's my
queer relationship.
Okay, my least favorite conversation that I've ever had in classrooms, and I feel like I have this conversation in classrooms, like, way more than I would want to, is, like, when people are like, is this person queer for this?
Yeah.
And it's, like, something that's not inherently queer.
Right.
And sometimes it's appropriate. Like, sometimes it's appropriate to name non-queer things as queer. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just, like...
Sometimes it's done very irresponsibly.
I, like, cuff my jeans. Is that queer? And it's, like... No. And other times it makes sense, but it's, like, is liking... Okay. Maybe we will seriously entertain the question. If vampires were real today, would being attracted to vampires only be problematic, fetishizing, queer?
So, I think it almost overlaps with, like, bestiality.
Interesting.
I don't think that.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, the way that it's often, like, written about, or, like, the way that it would be fetishized is, like, similar to bestiality if you're, like, only fucking monsters. But in a sense, they were once humans. Mm-hmm. Is it necrophilia?
Is it necrophilia? That's a good question.
I think that it would be different for a lot of people who are attracted to vampires, like, exclusively. Mm-hmm. I think that we would find that most people would be attracted to vampires because they're so attractive. Mm-hmm. So I think that it wouldn't be queer because it would be the majority.
Right.
But I think there is, like, a subsection of people that would be extra into it because of necrophilia or because of bestiality or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. On average, you just find that, like, they, like, are people. Mm-hmm. So, like, it would be relatively normal unless someone is fetishizing it, which I think a lot of people were if they were aware that they were vampires.
Yeah.
There's a theorist, Eve Kosowski-Sedgwick, who I think has written some really wonderful things.
Read everything she's ever written.
Except this one series of essays or piece. I think it's in, like, one of those that she wrote called, like, Touching Feeling, something like that, where she talks extensively about how pandas are queer. Or, like, her love of pandas is queer. And I was like, we don't need this. You didn't need to take up your space in the world.
It's like
by
she's
writing
written
that.
so many good things.
Yeah.
Man. I feel like that happens with a lot of theorists that I really like. They'll really like they'll write
There's one thing
incredible
that just
things, and then they'll just feel like a little too empowered to write whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
That's us with this podcast.
"You're right." Me asking if vampire loving is queer.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to do this with media when there's not enough queer representation. You have to ask questions of things that are probably shouldn't be considered queer, like if they are like queer in some way, or if they're queering the lens or whatever. And I remember like specifically like some LGBT textbook making the argument that like some Shrek movie was queer because of like the way that their relationship was subversive. And I don't think that everything that is subversive is queer.
Right.
And we have to like make those.
We have to look at it through a lens of oppression as well.
Right.
Something.
Queerness is broad, but it's not that broad.
Right.
We have to create a boundary.
Right. Anyway.
I feel like we were talking about this weird passage about Charlie, and then went off.
So Charlie leaves, and then Edward's there seconds later, and she's like, I wondered how long this bizarre routine would continue. I never wanted it to end. And I'm like, wouldn't someone in this small-ass town gossip about this?
Yeah.
It would eventually get back to Charlie that Bella was seeing Edward. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's unrealistic. I don't know. If you've ever lived in a small town, you know how much everyone is up everyone else's ass.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that he does find out, like, he finds out before they go play baseball.
Yeah.
Which is towards the end of the book. And really, it's only a couple days between now and then.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. Like, he still might have found out before. But I don't know how social he is. And I don't think he's very, like, perceptive.
Yeah.
But it could very well reach him if someone
Yeah.
wanted to. Some people might mind their business, I guess. Or maybe, like, they're gossiping, but no one's telling him.
Maybe.
Or maybe they think he knows. Maybe they're scared of him because he's the chief of police.
Valid.
Yeah. I wouldn't tell a cop anything.
Personally, I would never tell a cop anything. Yeah, I don't know.
She says, I never wanted it to end. And I'm like, it never will.
It never will. They'll always be there trying to drive.
Yeah. It's going to drive you forever.
Men be driving.
Flash forward next day. It's another school day. And now it's Edward's turn to ask Bella questions. And he just spends the whole day getting to know her. And I'm like, is this the peak fantasy, which is a pretty boy who listens to you talk about books?
Yeah. Also,
honestly, yeah.
He starts by asking, like, or telling her that she looks tired.
Yeah, it's like you were totally watching her have a sex dream about you.
Yes, and I'm like, you literally watched her sleep.
Mm-hmm. I think he was probably concerned as to why she wasn't sleeping well.
Yeah.
There's, like, another moment where they're, like, continuing to watch that video in biology class. I think there's some really beautiful passages in this chapter. It's really just, like, much of the same at this day of school where, like, she's, like, a little anxious to be apart from him and then, like, is, like, rushing to see him and, like, excited to see him and stuff like that. And he's just, like, asking her a bunch of questions, like, getting to know her, which is, like, great. He does the same thing when he walks her to gym class. It says, we walked toward the gym in silence like yesterday, and also like yesterday, he touched my face wordlessly, this time with the back of his cool hand, stroking once from my temple to my jaw before he turned and walked away. If I was, like, in high school minding my goddamn business, I would throw up if I saw that. I understand if like, high school couples want to give each other, like, a chaste kiss or, like, hold hands. Mm-hmm. But it's, like, I don't know. I feel like I didn't always feel this way. Yeah. And I feel like a fucking boomer for saying that.
They go home, and by that I mean...
Can I read this really beautiful passage that I loved?
Yeah.
They sit in front of Charlie's house for hours.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Amazing.
Talking more. I really love this beautiful passage.
Yeah.
He's asking her about just things. Just things.
Yep.
I try to describe the impossible things, like the scent of... Actually, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Creosote.
Let me look it up.
Creosote.
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 Creosote. That was right.
Creosote. Okay.
I tried to describe impossible things like the scent of creosote, bitter, slightly resinous, but still pleasant, the high keening sound of the cicadas in July, the feathery barrenness of the trees, the very size of the sky, extending white-blue from horizon to horizon, barely interrupted by the low mountains covered with purple volcanic rock. The hardest thing to explain was why it was so beautiful to me, to justify a beauty that didn't depend on the sparse, spiny vegetation that often looked half dead, a beauty that had more to do with the exposed shape of the land, with the shallow bowls of valleys between the craggy hills, and the way they held on to the sun. I found myself using my hands as I tried to describe it to him. I'm like, that's gorgeous, Stephanie. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It just made me think, like, this must be fun to read as someone from Arizona.
Yeah.
If, like, that's your home and you love it, like, that must be really fun for you to read about.
Like, for me, I'm not, like, in love with the desert, but I loved reading
Yeah, I'm not in love with the desert either, but I acknowledge I live in it, and it can be beautiful that way. It makes me wonder, like, what would I name from the place that I'm from? That
Would you?
What?
Would you, from Florida?
Maybe, I don't know. Spanish moss is beautiful. Fucking swamps.
Gator.
Chomp chomp of the gator.
Chomp chomp.
Chomp chomp.
Gator go chomp
The
chomp.
smell of Chick-fil-A wafting down the road. That sweet, sweet peanut oil.
Edward says it's Twilight. I love
Yeah,
that.
he does.
It's very dramatic.
They have some really poetic moments, or little lines.
Mm-hmm.
Says it's the safest time of day for us, the easiest time, but also the saddest in a way, the end of another day, the return of the night. Darkness is so predictable, don't you think? And she says, this line, which I swear to God, every time I read a book, it has this line in it phrased a different way.
Okay.
And
oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
I can never tell where it originally came from, but I know for damn sure it's not Twilight.
No, it's just like a romance line.
Yeah, it says, I like the night. Without the dark, we never see the stars. Not that you see them here much. What the fuck? Where'd that line come from?
Jacob and Billy Black are arriving, and so is Charlie. They've been in the car for a long time, and so she kind of like has to rush out and get up to the house. And Billy, this is the first time we see Billy in the story, actually.
Yeah. Edward gives Bella a warning that Charlie's around the corner after Billy and Jacob's car pulls up, but doesn't give her a warning about Jacob and Billy being there, which I think is...
He could just tell her.
Yeah, he could be like, oh, that's Jacob.
It's just more dramatic to not tell her?
Yeah, I guess.
He's just feeling cryptic. He's very cryptic.
Yeah, and then this thing happens that we've talked about a couple of episodes ago, where the description of Billy, like the physical description of Billy, is just kind of like, I don't know, it just demonstrates how gross it is that
boringly
Stephanie
racial.
is writing, how Stephanie is describing Native people physically.
Yeah.
It's like she reuses the term russet skin, and talks about his cheeks being long and black eyes that are both young and ancient, and it's like, chill the fuck out, Stephanie. A broad face.
Yeah. It's clear to her that Billy recognized Edward and like believes the legends that Jacob did not believe.
Yeah, so Billy's looking shook.
He's looking shook and disapproving.
Yeah.
And that will lead us into the next chapter. Next time, chapter 12, balancing.
Should we bring Alex in to plug something?
Let's ask him about his favorite cookie. And he better say the one that we made yesterday.
Even though neither of us will.
I mean, I might.
Alex, do you want to join us for our sign-off?
Sign off?
Yeah.
We're gonna plug something.
What are we plugging?
We're plugging our favorite cookie.
Cookie.
What's your favorite cookie?
Oh my god, probably the ones you made last night.
Aww, he passed.
Oh.
Good. What's yours?
I think my favorite cookie is a jammy Dodger, like a
I
jam
love those.
filled, like a homemade one. I mean, I like the ones from the sleeve
I don't
too,
know
but
if I've ever had a homemade one.
they're very
Really?
good.
My family has a recipe.
Like it's just like a shortbread cookie that you put jam inside and then top with powdered sugar. So.
I sometimes would eat jammy Dodgers as a meal when I lived in England.
Yeah. Yeah. Yours.
I'm gonna go for just like a real moist oatmeal raisin cookie. Hot take.
I like
I'm
oatmeal
into
raisin.
it.
Yeah, that's
All right.
our plug.
Well, thanks for listening to our
Podcast.
Podcast.
It's your turn to sign off.
Okay, that's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to Gender Forking. All of Season 1 is now streaming.
To stay updated about the podcast, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @genderforking.
For more Twilight content from us, you can follow our blog at bowlingshirtbellas.tumblr.com. For other inquiries, email us at bowlingshirtbellas@gmail.com.
If you're interested in supporting the production and maintenance of this podcast, head to patreon.com/genderforking. The music you are hearing is from O Lucifer.